Hello everyone, welcome to the Recruiters Hangout. Thank you very much for joining us. This is a bit of a special hangout. This one is in support of the Marketing and Advertising Recruitment Awards, which is coming up soon. Simon is here from the Advertising Recruitment Awards, co-founder of Edge Global Media Group and owning Marketing Jobs. And so we'll ask Simon a bit to talk to us in a bit about the Maras. If you want to join in the conversation today, please, and you have a Twitter handle, go onto Twitter, use the hashtag Rechangout hashtag, and join the conversations. Ask some questions, comments. If you agree or disagree with the people here, do say. You can also use the Q&A Google Plus app, so you can go onto the Google Plus event page. All the information is on the colleague blog. The topic of discussion today is, should every recruitment business be a digital marketing agency? So it's quite a controversial discussion. We're joined today here by Rob Forsyth, who's the owner of Ascent Solutions. Ascent Solutions have been nominated for the Best Candidate Experience at the Maras. We've got Steve Ward here, owner of Cloud9 Social Media and Digital Talent. Steve's a former guest on the Rechangout show. Welcome back, Steve. And they've got a long list of nominations. Best Candidate Experience, Best Niche Agency, Recruitment Innovation, Best Social Media Strategy, and Best Recruitment Video. That's impressive, Steve. And we've got James Eppinger here, founder of Connect Digital Group. They've been nominated for Best Client Service and Best Niche Agency. Thank you for being here. Quickly, long introduction. This hangout is sponsored by Colleague Software. My name's Louis. We're also supported by UK Recruiter. Louise Triance from UK Recruiters looking out on Twitter for your tweets. And Mark Stevens from the F10 Group and the Technology and Recruitment Alliance. He can't be here today. Alan Whitford's our host from Adtech Partnership. So after that long introduction, Alan, I'll hand over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Louis, and welcome everybody. And as we say regularly, please do join us on Twitter, and Louise will feed those questions into us, and we'll try and get the panel to respond to them. We might not have one of our regulars today, Bernadette Vielhaber from Ohio, because she's got a big event on with her employer today. She wasn't sure she was going to be able to sneak out and actually get on board with us, which is a bit of a shame. So Bernadette, well, we're going to miss you. Simon, perhaps it would be best if you just wanted to kick off. Those of us that know the Maras, but a lot of people might not know what OMJ did when they started the Maras, and what's the purpose?
Okay, so hopefully everybody can hear me. The Maras are in their 5th year now, and they've started from the setup of Value Marketing Jobs, which is a job board, and we realised there was a niche in the market really for awards that didn't compensate for our market sector. So we would turn out to lots of recruitment awards, and they would be very focused around IT, engineering, technology. And whilst things have evolved within marketing to become a lot more digital focused and transcending that digital, that technology space, nonetheless, there were lots of agencies similar to Ascent and Cloud9, obviously represented here, who were missing out, we felt. And so the Maras was born, the Market Advertising Recruitment Awards, and we are, as I say, in the 5th year. It recognises recruitment agencies that have gone above and beyond, that are doing some remarkable things in what is probably the fastest growing space right now in recruitment, and we're really looking forward to it. So there were 102 entries this year, and that's been whittled down to I think 44. So it's fantastic to see that number of recruiters getting through, and also it's not a case of everybody that enters goes through whatsoever. We're very scrutinising the way we get through. So fair play to Steve, who's managed to get into almost every category. He's obviously gone out and got someone to write those documents for him, Steve. It's nonetheless, listen, it's the Maras are fantastic. We're going through some evolution ourselves with those. So next year we're going to encompass very much a digital feel. So this might be, and this is hot off the press, this might be the last year of the Maras as they currently stand. So lots of things to look forward to. The Maras themselves on the 19th of November, and looking good. We're sold out, so we're looking good for the evening.
Hey, that's brilliant. Thank you very much, Simon, and I'm sure we'll get more comments about that. Perhaps if we just did a quick whip around the room, so to speak, for each of us, our guests to introduce themselves and maybe start touching on the topic of today, which is that all agencies, recruitment agencies, should be digital marketing agencies. We might want to even define what that actually means. But James, why don't we start with you? As you're one of the newbies for us. What is it you actually do, and do you have a quick thought to start the game off with? Should all recruiters be digital marketing agencies? And
remember to unmute, James.
Yeah. Yep. A rookie
Sorry,
error.
guys. Can you hear me now?
All right, you're back.
Okay, great. I think, yeah, it's a good question, and I think it really depends on the positioning a company's taking and growing in the marketplace. For example, we feel that sales and marketing is absolutely key to our growth and success. So the reason being is that we were a business founded upon real industry digital advertising experience. For example, myself, I was in the market for over 10 years to a sales or commercial director level at ad tech companies, ad networks, online publishers. My business partner, Rob, had a similar level of experience. So we brought this experience on this side to recruitment to help empower clients with higher quality recruitment and better understanding of their business to get them the right people, in a nutshell. So yeah, but based on that, we've also got various other services within our company to help promote our clients from a sales and marketing capacity, which in turn drives more revenue for them. I'm happy to share more information about those services, which is why we branded our business Connect Digital Group, because we're not only a recruitment agency, but also we help grow businesses via sales and marketing efforts. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, and thank you for the intro. Rob, what is it you guys are up to, and what do you think about this thing? Are all agencies, are they all going to need to be digital?
Yeah, thanks, Alan. So I'm Rob Forsyth, and I work at Ascent. So we specialise in media recruitment. So we recruit for the sales side and also the buy side of media, that being media agencies and media owners. And similar to James, I've come from the industry, so I used to sell advertising, and I'm actually looking at the way that we're set up as a business, and this sort of ties into my viewpoint today about should agencies be digital marketing agencies, so should recruiters act like that? I'm not so sure. I think that there needs to be balance. I think there's absolute value, and I'm sure Steve's going to talk me round by the end of this conversation, but there's massive value in digital marketing. But I think it comes with its challenges, and I think that it can be done really badly, and I've been a victim of that. And I think it's a very delicate thing to get right. And the biggest thing about our industry, or my industry, which is media, is it's all about people, and for that you need good recruitment consultants that can speak to candidates on the phone, meet them face to face, network with them face to face at events, and ultimately really get to know those people as individuals, investigate what their needs are. It's a very candidate-led market, our sector, so that's why our focus is very much about candidates. And so digital marketing's fine about bringing people in, and about there's a lot of terms around content and engagement, but ultimately our business is about placing people into jobs. That's how we make money, and we're not going to do that through an automated digital marketing system. We need people on the phone to talk to candidates. We need people meeting candidates face to face. So for me, just to summarise, I think there needs to be balance. Yes, digital marketing is important, but absolutely not am I going to be changing the agency to look like a digital marketing agency.
So Steve, we've kind of opened up the door there for you. But maybe as well as describing what you do, and obviously you do something right, as Simon said, to manage to get nominated for a lot of awards. What do we even mean by digital marketing agency?
Yeah, that's probably a good start, actually, because I think there's many aspects of what a digital marketing agency would offer a recruitment company, for example, or any business for that matter, or should already be in place within recruitment companies anyway, and that's just stripping it back to directing people towards your website and having a solid and active website presence. Every recruitment business should have that element of it. The big bit is, do we become creative entities and do we become social entities as recruitment agencies? I think that's probably the keenest part of this thing that is different to what recruitment agencies commonly present themselves now. My opinion is very similar to Rob. So maybe I haven't got much to turn you around, Rob. There's no point trying to be a digital agency to the wrong candidate and client audience, and Rob's absolutely right. It comes back to the people we deal with, and what are we about, and what do we mean to those people, and how do we make ourselves as competitive organisations more competitive with those people. Now, all us guys are in the creative sector. We're in the digital, social, creative sector and the likes, media sector. If we are not acting like digital agencies or social creative entities, then we look out of place, and we don't reach more closely to our candidate audience. We're not on the same page as them, and I certainly set out Cloud9 to be a company that's on the same page as our client and candidate audience. First and foremost, the candidate audience, because in a niche sector they are your clients as well. So I say no, not everybody has to be. I think you just have to work out your audience and decide as to whether actually is it time worthwhile spent. Because otherwise, if you do it badly to the wrong audience, boy, you waste some time and money.
Okay, so if I put that in the perspective of, I grew up in the IT recruiting space, and as an IT agency, if you weren't up to scratch with the latest technology, you lost those IT guys. They were just like, why would I bother talking to you or your clients? And I get what you're saying. I think we have a very similar issue now in the whole marketing sphere, although we can still look at some of the traditional rec ad agencies and go that they still haven't figured it out. We did a thing a couple of years ago for a client where we actually put together a digital candidate welcome pack, and one of the awards bodies said, could you print that off and send it to us, please? Which seemed to defeat the purpose of it being a digital candidate pack. But what if I'm recruiting accountants, nurses, the people that are not in the digital world in terms of their job, but they live every day on their iPad and there are other types of pads available, or their phones or whatever it is. They're online all the time anyway. Don't I need as a recruitment agency to then become like that?
Yeah, the point I'm making is that I don't think is you have to judge your audience and make a good decision based on the audience that you have. That means, to me, we live in a world of blended communications now. The challenge or the difficulty I think the recruitment agencies are stuck in is that they're still driven by sales calls, and as an only form of method to find their candidates or find the clients or headhunt candidates, etc. Whereas we've got this rich blend of opportunities now to communicate with people on so many levels. Absolutely take that opportunity to do it. The strength of the statement of this hangout, so that the subject matter of this hangout, is too strong a statement for the majority of recruitment companies who need to think carefully about where and how they attract their candidates. You're right, probably some of those accountants are on their iPads all the time and that kind of stuff now, and so therefore have a little bit. But I just don't think I think there's a lot of recruitment companies out there who would just say, hey, look, every method we use now absolutely works for us. Why would we change? Why should we change if we know our candidates aren't there anymore? Personal feeling is, crikey, why be as creative as you can. We should all be as creative as we can. I just don't think recruitment agencies are ready yet for being a complete digital entity. I don't think it's right. The audiences aren't there yet.
Well, I feel that Rob is itching to pile in on this one, so go ahead, Rob.
Well, you made the point, Alan, is that people are on their iPads, people are on their mobile phones, but why are they on their iPads? Why are they on their mobile phones? And do they want to have a conversation with a recruitment consultant? No. Absolutely not. So what we need to figure out, and this is where digital marketing can be clever, but it takes time and money and resource to get it right, is to figure out the funnel of, online shopping is a good example, is that someone might start their search on Google for a pair of trainers, running shoes. They then might get distracted by life. They might go and change some nappies, come back, look again on a different, go onto Facebook, see, and they might get served some adverts. Maybe they go onto some forums. Maybe they look at some publishers, some media owners that, I don't know, Running World or something like that. And, we're driving this funnel down of that shopper to a point where they're about to make a purchase. Now, it's at that point, if you think about this in recruitment terms, most people are quite happy in their jobs, going about it, but something triggers when they start to look for a job. I'm talking about candidates specifically here, obviously. And I think recruiters or your agency brand needs to be visible just at the point where that person is starting to look for a job. And the reason I say that is I don't think there's a huge amount of candidate loyalty from one agency to the next. Okay, so we can talk a bit about, I know you're nodding there, Alan, but we can talk a bit about candidate loyalty. And actually, I don't think that I haven't done a survey on it, maybe I should, but I think if you're there, if you're visible, if your agency brand is visible at the point that they want to get that job, at the point they're about to buy that pair of trainers, that's where you want to be. And so that's quite a lot of effort to get your agency to be visible at that point. You've got to do a lot of market research. You've really got to know your market. But all the stuff leading up to that, all the noise, all the blogging, all the engagement, all of the social activity, tweeting that recruitment consultants do and stuff, I don't know if all that's necessary. And I think that's quite time consuming, and it's very easy to do it badly. So I think there's a couple of key things there that maybe we can just throw out to the group about candidate loyalty and about actually getting them right at the point that they make that mindset shift to go, I need to go and find a new job. And where am I going to go and find that job? Am I going to go to LinkedIn? Am I going to go to Google? Am I going to go and talk to my friends? Am I going to go to a job board? And so I think, I don't want to get into the conversation of passive and active candidates, but I do think agencies need to be digitally visual at that point.
Okay, I think that's some good points there, James. Does it sort of map your kind of thinking too? The presence and being where the candidate's likely to be is more important than necessarily branding yourself as a digital recruitment agency.
Yeah, no, it's Rob's made some really good points actually. I think, just because the world is becoming, people are on their, different machines, whether it's a phone, an iPad, a laptop. Do they want to be hit by a recruitment consultant or an ad? Well, probably not. So I think it's probably worth defining, like, if you want to becoming more of a marketing agency, we're talking about marketing your recruitment services to the candidate side, or talking about marketing your services to the goodwill of your clients. So I think that distinction also needs to be made, because as a business, we're focusing a lot of marketing efforts and sales efforts to empower clients, like I mentioned before. So, for example, all of us do, recruitment here. The client's got a spec, we find them the candidate, the person gets a job. One thing we've done is we've pioneered an area to really help grow clients, help grow their businesses. So we've pioneered a UK launch platform for overseas ad tech clients to basically very easily come into the market and launch and set up. I think this kind of model was founded upon, a lot of clients overseas, actually really get nervous about coming to the market here. They're not sure if they're going to succeed or die. So what we've done is we've said, hey, there's actually a kind of a crawl, walk, run approach where we can say to a client, okay, you're coming over to the market in the UK, you want to launch, but you're kind of nervous about your results. So we kind of give them a kind of a service which helps them launch, which is we map the market for them, leverage our industry experience. We then say, okay, you know, there's 3 phases for you to launch. A sales rep in service, phase 1, where we get them a sales rep, and that person basically sells on behalf of that client and starts getting some business coming out of the agencies and the advertisers. So it kind of starts to build a bit of revenue for the client to make them comfortable. Then we move them to a phase 2, which is really a interim commercial director service. So what would happen is everything in phase 1, they'd have a sales rep, but they'd have a more senior commercial figure to make revenues more robust and grow out revenues through agencies and advertisers. And then we move the client to a phase 3 once the business case proves it. And we basically then do a full UK London launch, which is where all the recruitment kicks in. So, you know, exec search on their country managers, sales director, publisher development people, etc., etc. So it gives a nice crawl, walk, run approach. So I'm kind of focusing sales and marketing more on the client side of the business to help them achieve more success. But then we naturally tile that into a recruitment service at phase 3, like I mentioned, so everybody wins.
All right. Well, that's a nice link in. I was going to bring Simon back in. Simon, one reason you went into only marketing jobs when you set it up, you know, a number of years ago was that, I think, if I recall correctly, you just felt that the normal job boards, if you will, weren't offering a service for those digital marketing type people and only marketing type people. Do you feel that there's any difference? Would you do that differently today?
No, look, Tom, I mean, you're partially right there, Alan. The reason why we set it up in the first place because then we felt there was a niche, but actually what we did was all set up through social media. So we never wanted to be a transactional job board, and we're not a transactional job board, although we've got a transactional service in the same way as any other job board has. Our entire remit has been built around developing a network, and that network is now the largest in the country. If you talk about digital and specifically marketing, PR, communications type professionals. And would I do it differently? No, I probably might invest more in terms of tech to begin with to get that community running. But I think I agree with Rob, and I agree certainly with Steve, who I've agreed with for the last 3 years at various different things that we've gone to. We work in a market which is totally set up for acting like a digital agency, and I think it might have been Rob that said, you know, if you work in a different area, then maybe it's not quite conducive. But I've seen people do brilliant jobs in oil and gas. I've seen people do brilliant jobs in engineering, which are you know, sectors that aren't necessarily geared right up for doing the kind of things that we're talking about here. And I put out on Twitter the other day or LinkedIn just to get some, you know, focus on this, trying to get people in that unless agencies start thinking like digital agencies, next year will be the last year that they're in existence. Now clearly that's me just being a bit conjectural just to get people in, but there is an element of truth underneath that, in my opinion, because the one word that we haven't used today is disintermediation. And we're talking about, does a candidate want to get approached by a recruitment agency? Did I really want to talk to the recruitment agency? I would have said yes, no, they don't 12 months ago. But I think now things have changed. I think people are starting to see savvy recruiters as their best route into their ultimate job. And if you look at the top end of it and you look at the hiring clients who are trying to attract those exact same people, what are they doing? They're spending more on their employer branding strategies. They're going to agencies and they are going out there and they're putting out big campaigns. And what that means, the recruiters have got to adapt and they've got to turn and do things differently. And I've been a long campaigner, as there are lots of people in this industry also on the same page of contingency recruitment's got its place, but retained assignments are the way forward. And if you're going to do proper retained assignments these days, it needs to encompass a marketing strategy. It needs to be digitally savvy. It needs to be recruiters thinking differently and buying in certain bits and reselling them. And there's nothing fundamentally new in that, but I think it's massively on the increase. And the number of companies that come to my job board now and ask for client-branded job ads are on the increase quite dramatically, and that could only happen if their recruiters have been taught different things. And that's not about Michael Page, being in a room and being taught like those guys have historically been taught. This is about buying in different people from different markets. And in our market, and I think increasingly across the board, more marketing professionals are being hired into recruitment agencies. And I think before, where they were saying, well, we've got a choice, we've got a recruitment agency or a recruiter or a marketing person, it was always a recruiter. Bottom line, they're going to generate us 120 grand or whatever it might be a year. Now I think that people are saying, well, actually, a marketing person can come in, could do our branding, could do our social media. And I get totally, Rob, people do it completely and utterly wrong. They can do, but equally, if you get it completely and utterly right, the point they're buying their pair of shoes, you are on the cusp and the pinnacle of their thinking. And that is all about this thinking like a digital agency. It's not just about crashing the phone, old school contingency recruitment. And where I say about agencies thinking like digital agencies, it's not just about going out and running campaigns. It's the methodology and the thought process behind those account directors, behind the people involved in those media agencies. And I think the mindset is shifting, and I do. And I think that Steve, or I hope Steve will agree with me, the people that we see are definitely thinking more like that than they were 12 months ago. And are they going to be dead if they don't think that in 12 months? Not remotely, of course not. But I think you'd be better off if you do. That's my opinion.
All right, thank you, Simon. I just wanted to do a quick shout out and reset, and then I'll come over to you, Steve, give you a chance to respond to Simon opening up the door for you. This is the Rec Hangout, hashtag REC Hangout. We're currently talking about the theme, should all recruitment agencies become digital marketing agencies to survive? We've got Steve Ward, Rob Forsyth, Simon Lewis, and James Eppinger with us, as well as our intrepid technical co-host Louis Welcomme and Louise sitting in background managing our Twitter stream, and our other co-host Mark Stevens is off trying to present to his board or something silly like that today instead of playing around with us. We've also had some good followers hanging out on Twitter who are trading a bit of messages about the stuff you guys are talking about. I think we've got Mark Burton and Louise Brown, Broadbean, and Digital Huntsman are all sharing tweets bragging about what you guys are doing. I know so far there hasn't been one about anybody's beards, but maybe we'll bring that topic back a little bit later. Steve, Kim has actually put in a comment, and I think as someone who started his agency and focused very much on the people that worked for you, she wonders if what we're talking about is this brand and the relationship is usually with a consultant rather than necessarily with the business. Shouldn't agencies focus on giving consultants more skills to build their own brand rather than be a digital agency and get the messaging from the individual consultant to the relationship that James was talking about with the customers, making that much more come to the fore?
Yeah, spot on. I'm absolutely 100% on board with that. I think that's it's an area that agencies struggle with because obviously they're giving a little bit of ownership of control to individuals rather than the brand, which I guess the larger the agency is, the more of an issue they have with that. But I totally agree. I think, with a natural loop back to that point that Rob made around do people want to hear from recruiters? Do they want to hear adverts, blah, blah, and they're sitting on their iPad? Yeah, maybe no, they don't, but they do want to hear from people. And people want to relate to people that are like them. Now, that sounds kind of soft and fluffy and all that kind of stuff, but the reality is when we're dealing with people, you have to, in all walks of life, we have to try and find a way of meeting them on the same level as they do. And so that brought, I totally agree that the kind of I just think the kind of recruiter has to change. I think the style of the recruiter or the blend of recruiters has to change, and that means you need people like what Kim is referring to, somebody who connects, understands the candidate audience. I think the candidate is a bigger issue area than the client here. I wouldn't focus massively on how we market to clients. If you do the candidate bit really, really well, the clients will come through word of mouth and recommendation. But that's the point. We should start with a candidate, and that's where we always look at is what does the candidate do? Where do they coexist? Where are they comfortable? Who are they comfortable talking to? And what can we do to be more like the way that they are, and actually less like a recruitment company? Because the more we sound like a recruitment company, the more the hairs go up on the back of the individual concerned. Because let's be fair, the industry's not got a great reputation on the whole, and we've got to do everything in our power to be slightly more amenable to those people. So I'm 100% agreeing with that. I think it should be about how individuals relate. But sometimes what we've sort of found with some folks that we've had with us is sometimes you get the individual relationships, you get that strong personality that takes your brands to those people because they carry the brand with them. So, and the only people who can carry the brand really well with them in that respect are great people. So it has to stem back from having great people. You give the freedom to connect, use their skills, use their personality, be real people, and the brand will tow along behind that. The brand will always be there, that's for sure. And particularly if you work that bit out really well as an agency, the way you set up your communications.
So, but we've got a couple people that this seems to have struck a chord out there with our Twitter audience today. Ali from G and Q, I think. No, it's from G Plus possibly on the Q&A, the Google Plus G&A. He's saying that, well, he agrees with that, but agencies still have their focus on turning the cards, essentially, you know, the good old-fashioned model, rather than their own brand. And Broadbean also wonders if agencies could educate their consultants about being digital. So I'm going to be an old-world recruitment agency manager here and say the challenge with all of this, and we can have our consultants build their brand and build those relationships, but once they do, and in the digital world, they stick it on a thumb drive and they walk out the door, and they start their own agency. So I can understand a manager being a little bit reluctant to spend a lot of time helping a consultant build his or her brand and get really, really top drawer skills in the digital world, because, you know, they just walk out.
Yeah, but I think if we build a business to plan for people leaving us, then we start on a pretty negative footing. We've got a pretty poor brand. So I think we start to build a business on the basis of the fact we're, you know, I was going to swear then, but a bloody good business, and we employ the best people. And
we do have a lunchtime audience. We are before that.
Good, I've got a bit family there. My kids aren't watching. Yeah, so that's a negative way to look at it. Sorry, Rob. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just coming on to this whole issue of the consultants and our people, you know, people that make money for us, and actually whether we should empower them to build their own personal brands. I think the challenge actually is defining what makes a modern day really good recruitment consultant. And the key thing that we've identified in media is trust, and candidates need to feel that they can trust their consultant. So you know, you need to have those skills. You need to be able to listen. You need to be able to consult in the truest sense of the word. You need to really understand that candidate and their needs, what's going on in their life, but also you need to know market knowledge. You need to know what you're talking about. And if you're taking a candidate down a pathway to one of your jobs and your client really likes that candidate, you know, that candidate's going to have other options going on because it's a candidate-led market. Okay, good people are hard to find, and when they're actively looking, they will have 3 or 4 options going on. And so, building that bit of trust with the candidate throughout the process and having that market knowledge, being able to educate them and coach them through and really walk them through that process is key to them actually taking the job that you want to take at the end of the process. So the other thing is so coming back to that skill set, if you look at that, and then you look at the skill set of a marketeer, okay? So coming into digital marketing, so that's people that can research where our candidates are online, what time of day to contact them, what message to say, what conversations to strike up. I don't think you're going to get a recruitment consultant that can do all of that. Maybe you might get a super recruitment consultant by the name of Steve Ward, but that's about, you know, I don't think there are many people out there that can do everything and have got that sort of like that edge to be able to be the filter between the client feedback and the candidate feedback and have that real sales initiative to hit their targets, to make placements, to make things happen where they ordinarily wouldn't happen. That's a salesperson first and foremost, and that's a different skill, that's a different DNA to a marketeer. And so do I think recruitment consultants should be empowered to build their brand? Yes, but I don't think they're very good at it. So actually I think the agency would be better off, and what we're actually looking at doing is employing an actual marketeer to do marketing properly, we don't have to do. You don't have to do lots of marketing. You don't have to do lots of tweets, but quality rather than quantity. And that then feeds the lead You have like a lead generation strategy that's going to feed the recruitment consultants some leads. But the recruitment consultants are the ones that make that first point of contact with the candidate, listen to them, and do the old school recruitment. And go and make those placements. I don't think you should empower your. I tell you, I'll give you a good example. A few years ago, I said to all of my consultants at the time, there's only 3 of them, I said, right, everyone start blogging. Let's do a blog. Let's try and all do a blog a week, just because we need to be doing a bit of something. And each one of them took a whole morning to write a blog about their nan, about their dog having a crap, or whatever it might be. And it was just a bit of an ego boost for each person. No one read that blog. No one shared that blog. No one commented on it, apart from their mates and maybe their dad. And it was a complete waste of time. And if you think about it, that's a whole morning of a week for a recruitment consultant when they could have been doing other things. So I don't necessarily agree that you should empower your consultants to do the marketing that's needed. There you go.
All right, so we need to go hire a marketing guy, and I think we know the site they should look, don't we, Simon? It would be OMJ, of course. And funnily enough, one of our viewers, and we're gonna out you. I'm sorry, John Roberts from oilandgasjobsearch.com said, "I found my job on Simon's site." So there you go, an unrequited love, I think, Simon.
Ah, that's fantastic news. You must have got that tenner.
Must have gotten the tenner.
Listen, whilst I'm here, so I don't have to mute myself again, I just wanted to pick up on Rob's point, which I do fundamentally agree with. You should, well, personally, I think you should hire a marketer. Personally, if you're in a position to do it, to do all the things that you're talking about, but the significance around it was the lead gen stuff. And I think a lot of people are reticent to take people on in recruitment who are in marketing functions because they're seen as a bit of a fluffy addition to something that is ordinarily a sales-based skill. But having said that, sales is obviously different these days. It's not just about smashing phones. There is a lot more softer stuff that works in the same way as an overt sales capacity in terms of its ability to bring in leads. I think your example, Rob, was with the blogging. We did that here, we tried it here, and we still do. But what we found is that there are certain people who can write and certain people that can't. And if you can't, you can't. And it's just it doesn't make any difference. You won't get any traction from it. That's the difficult we found. We guided them into what we wanted them to write, though. It wasn't about their dog. It was about a recruitment piece. So, what it is like to work in the market, some pontification around the subject that we actually do. But I found a lot of my time re-editing pieces that have been written, and that therefore become a bit of a lost cause for certain people. That said, we've got a couple of guys here who do that, and they are all the way that they then go about their client retention and getting into clients is to talk about pieces of interest in the industry, not just about have you got a job that I can work on, which I do think is a flawed process. Is a flawed a long time ago, let alone now, where in-house recruiters are reluctant to take those types of calls. But to go in there with, I saw this piece you wrote, or would you be interested in, opining on this particular blog that I've written? I think I watch these guys in our office. They're selling a different prospect. They're selling job advertising. They're not selling, recruitment functions per se. But when I give them the opportunity to go through the link that I've sent them, which is about an opinion piece, the way that they speak with their clients afterwards and what have you is entirely different to it was than it was 12 months ago when they were literally find out what their job advertising needs were. The traction's amazing. It might not be an overnight win, but it certainly is over time, and that's where hopefully our social stuff and the way that we do our things is a little bit different to certainly our competitors, and that's where I think recruiters need to stand out. That is that employer branding piece, the customer journey, which Rob's 100% spot on with. That is, I think, requirement of a marketing function, whether it be a person doing their own brand or the business running that. I think that does make a difference.
And I can hear Alistair Murray wanting to pile in at any point on the whole bit about content, because it's been one of his bugs for years, how little that people who are writing content actually are good at it, and you should have experts do that. James, you've talked about how you're trying to drive your business more customer-focused, client-focused. Clearly, that needs to have the ability to communicate well with them. Would you say that you want your individual recruiters to have those marketing skills in, or do you want to provide that more as essential service to them with a marketing expert?
Yeah, just on that. So everything we're talking about marketing from a consultant's point of view to talk to the potential candidates. Totally agree with all that. I guess what we're trying to achieve here is to offer services to clients that can help with marketing and revenue generation. The recruitment consultants typically won't do those jobs. That's more a sales rep in service, so another part of the company. Going back to what Rob was saying, so, you know, I think Rob's made a lot of good points. So I think good recruitment consultants can put good marketing and word of mouth out of the marketplace about the clients they're selling into, right? So, you know, for example, we've got some really great exclusive relationships out in the marketplace, and I can tell you that some of these clients that we're working with, because we have really good recruitment consultants repping these clients to candidates, have probably got a lot of really good, you know, social word of mouth out of the marketplace by speaking to a lot of people, tell them the benefits of this client, what they're doing differently. And I think that's probably a lot of good social word of mouth there in itself by a recruitment consultant doing a good job. So totally agree with, yeah, quite a few of those points. Yeah, so the other side of the marketing and sales efforts, what I was talking about before to clients is, I seem to be on my own about this point here, but it's, as I say, we have pioneered this service in the UK, so we feel we're one of the few clients doing a good job there, but that isn't a job handled by recruitment consultants. Sales, repping and marketing, you know, to agencies and advertisers on behalf of our clients, that's a separate team doing that. And that's getting revenue and marketing efforts on behalf of these clients to agencies to help them grow their business, which in turn builds into a recruitment model. So, yeah, just want to be pretty clear about that. Just another thing as well, like, to engage, because Rob was saying before, to engage superstar candidates is a tough job. Totally agree with that, and it's hard to get good people a lot of the time. So I guess another thing you can do is you can kind of do, you know, some PR around a client about the growth of a, you know, sector within digital. So content marketing, for example, is a big growing area within digital. I mean, I can quote some industry, you know, references that 93% of all B2B marketers are putting native advertising on marketing plans. Pretty big stat. So by kind of PRing, I mean, we've got a client that's a native advertising business. We can tie in this kind of market knowledge to make it more attractive to a candidate, to show them where the growth areas of the markets are happening. And, you know, we can PR these sort of things across social media, and all that sort of chat around growth hot pockets of the market can impact, you know, word of mouth. Clients we have here, that particularly if they're native. So yeah, I've covered a few things there, but yeah, on both sides, to the candidate world, absolutely, and to the client side, that's something different we're doing. Yeah, absolutely can influence PR and marketing messaging to the market.
All right, thanks, James. And as a theme, I'm going to come back to you next, Steve, because I think there's some themes we can pull out of what Rob and James and Simon have been talking about. Just a quick reset. We got about 15 minutes to go. This is Rec Hangout, sponsored by Colleague Software, UK Recruiter, F10 Group, and Abtech Partnership. That would be me. We've got some great guests today who are up for a bunch of awards at the Mara Awards, hosted by the inimitable velvet and jacketed Simon Lewis, although he claims he doesn't have the velvet jacket anymore. Rob Forsyth, Steve Ward, and James Eppinger. So, guys, one of the themes that we've been having about is, and the theme was, should agencies become a digital marketing agency? What seems to me is coming through is that your whole agency doesn't have to be a digital marketing agency, but as a recruitment agency, you need to embrace the use of digital in marketing, and perhaps actually it means you need to have specialists in your business to do that stuff and let your recruiters get back to doing what they're supposed to do, which is recruit. Does that resonate with you, Steve?
Yes, it does actually. We sort of live in a. We at Cloud9 we have social media people doing recruitment jobs, so we don't employ recruiters per se. The traditional recruiters that have done recruitment the traditional way, I guess, and so what we hire in as a consequence is people who automatically have those digital and the social media communication skills and the like. So we're reasonably unique in that respect, and probably not unique, rather like James probably in that respect, that his business is probably made up of marketers like himself as well. I think the point is you've got to do it well, and I think that's where I have this concern with pushing it on. Generally with recruiters, it's pushing a skill set or an area that actually isn't within their natural remit. So if you talk to most people externally, recruitment agency, digital marketing agency, you'd say they're worlds apart in the kind of style of delivery and that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I think to a degree, if you've got the capability to do it with a focused digital marketer, social media marketer, whatever you want to call it, then do it. My issue, even in this industry that we serve, the marketing industry, is I've also seen that fail for a lot of agencies in the sense they've brought on somebody, have 2 or 3 bad months, so who do they blame? The person who doesn't make any fees, the social media manager, and the social media manager gets engaged as a consequence. So so even the companies who make the big gesture of employing, spending 25, 30 grand a year on a social media manager, still give it only limited amount of belief because of because ultimately the axe falls on a non-fee earner when the fees go down. I think the thing is, I go back to the point about it's got to be done well, and that's why we shouldn't just throw it on anybody to just kind of try and crowbar a bit of stuff in. To do digital marketing well, or to embrace digital as part of our recruitment thing, you have to do something that's extraordinary and remarkable. The brilliant thing about this industry that we serve, the marketing, PR, creative industry, and how it's embraced digital and social media, is that they get to do incredible stuff, and they are incredible people with talents that make people go wow. To try and attract those people to in some way the same degree and standard at which they purport to is a really difficult thing. Like I say, trying to crowbar little bits of items into LinkedIn and calling it digital and social marketing, it's done so badly so often that it makes me cringe, and I'm sure it makes their market cringe a little bit as well. So it's just got to be done really, really well. But if you can get it right, if you choose the right people to do it, so a lot of it's about how we hire and how we hire, the impact and the head-turning elements of it, and the way it then generates the one lovely word of any business, let alone recruitment, which is referral and recommendation and shareability and all that kind of stuff. The more you can do stuff that makes people go, wow, I want to share that, I want to pass on the story, the more your business is a stronger business and you have more advocacy and better candidate loyalty as a consequence. So it's got to be done well. That's why I refer back to my point at the start about the fact that if you ask some accountancy recruitment company with 10 people in the room to add a social media manager or crowbar social media into one of their kind of worlds, you wonder how well it's going to be done and who's going to direct them as to how well they do it, because always they're going to measure the interactions based on sales call type KPIs rather than actual metrics that marketing work for marketing, I should say.
Steve, I think it's that bit where you're plugging in the rest of the business into the marketing function. That bit gets missed out, the boring bit. So you'll get on your marketing person, your social media person, and then you won't have, as Rob was talking about, the correct follow-up. That sort of element where that job is shared. Where what we're doing here, and you've heard, and Alan's heard this many a times, is that yes, the marketing function is done by myself. We don't expect everyone in the business to be writing blogs all the time or to be constantly engaging all the time, but we do distribute through all the individual channels. We do rely on individual networks, not company networks, so to speak. We do ask people to engage. If they don't have to write, they can at least engage. And the sales guys here, the equivalent would be the recruitment consultant, they follow up and they're talking about the content, and that initial initiates the relationship and the discussions with the people who aren't looking for software right now or looking for their job right now. And I think Rob touched on that perfectly. So they remember you down the line, and that's the key aim. They remember you in a year or in a few months. But the problem is that this will work best for specialist recruitment agencies, I think. It'll work best for especially the ones that are doing retained work, like Simon was talking about. The transactional side, I realise we're focusing on you there, Steve. The transactional side of it, it's hard to justify a really long-term commitment to that return. So there is an argument for some compromise over the sales and the marketing side. Anyway, I know, Alan, it's a 2 o'clock sharp stop, so I'll stop talking.
Louis, that's not a problem to start talking, and thanks to Kim for the shout out that she thinks this could go on all day, and I'm sure it could, and all of us have sat around various venues over the years having these conversations, and they can go on all day. But I would like to just possibly put a plug in that Recruitment Live by Global Recruiter is actually on the 25th to 26th of November at the Excel Center. I'm running 2 sessions there wearing my Direct Employers Association hat, so the other side of the fence from the agencies, but UK Recruiter is there as well, and running some sessions. And we're trying to figure out with Louis the best way for us to try and run some kind of a live broadcast or live session on site at Rec Live, but we've got some thinking to do about the best way to do that. But if anybody's going to be there, by all means, come along to the UK Recruiter stand and the colleague area and the UK Recruiter area. And we'll at least, worst comes to worst, we'll sit around and we'll schmooze together face to face. If we can broadcast it and can figure that out, we will. So if you are going to be there, come on down for that. Guys, what I'd like to do is let's maybe do a final sort of whip around here. We've got 5-6 minutes or so to go. Final sort of takeaway or recommendation about this theme of, becoming a digital agency. Do it or don't do it. James, I'm going to put you on the hot spot first.
Great. Thanks, Alan. Yeah, I think do it or don't do it. I think it depends on what your company's all about and where you're going. For us, digital marketing is a part of what we do. Obviously, recruitment's a big part of how we monetize the business, and the way our consultants speak to the market, so candidates, that does have marketing efforts on behalf of our clients that we're talking about. I think also for us, we're quite unique in that we have built out a separate part of the company that focuses on the client side, sales and marketing, so selling into agencies and clients, which then helps bring more revenues in and then spawn more recruitment opportunities. This is more for overseas clients coming to the UK market. So my answer for us, absolutely, big part of what we do, but it depends on if you're a pure recruitment company or if you're a recruitment company with other services to grow clients.
Thanks to James. Rob, over to you. And Rob, we're still not getting any comments on your new beard, sorry to say.
Oh no, I've had the beard for a long time actually, but I just this is my first hangout, so I was wondering if it was going to be offensive or not. But yeah, look, I think yeah, James, I agree with that. You've got to understand. So I'm going to finish by saying, you've got to understand what your business model is, what's your core focus, and how do you make money. Our focus, our business model, is a recruitment business. So we make money through placing candidates or job seekers into our clients' vacancies. And yes, we can use digital marketing as part of a candidate generation strategy, and yes, we can use digital marketing for a bit of PR, a bit of our agency branding, and we can use digital marketing to perhaps attract clients as well, but maybe less so, if I'm honest. And I actually agree with Steve that in our industry sector, our candidates are our clients as well. So I think for me, the key thing is you've got to work out how you make money, what your business model is, and how it's going to look in the future. And I agree with what Simon was saying earlier. Recruitment agencies do need to innovate. They do need to think differently. They do need to push themselves a bit, and I think digital will help with that. But you've got to go back to my very first point, which is balance. everything's got to be balanced. You know, you can't just swing one way and just put everything, all of your efforts, all of your resource to digital marketing. Because all of a sudden you might have 3,000 CV applications, and you haven't got any resource to handle all of that. You know, and so a lot of those people are not going to have their CVs read. They're not going to get any phone calls, and then your employer branding is rubbish. You know, it's actually detrimental to your agency. So it's got to be balanced. That's my view. And actually, you know, referrals and networking events, meeting people face to face, having a coffee. I still think there's a lot of value in that.
All right, Steve, and thank you, Rob. I think you made some good sense there, and wouldn't all these agencies love to have 3,000 CVs that they could work with? And then they need a system to put them in, and that would open up the door for Louis. So a nice little slip in there for you. I like how you've done that. Steve, do it, don't do it.
I say embrace it. Yeah, I think you have to. I think every business has to get involved in it. I think you just have to know where your limits are. Don't try and do things you cannot do. In our sector, we're in the marketing advertising sector. If we're not embracing all this stuff, if we're not being digital, if we're not being natural on social media and building content into the process and being creative about how we go, then we're missing a massive trick in our particular industry that the guys, James, Rob and I are into, because that's where our candidates exist and feel at most at home. So it'd be crazy not to. For businesses, for recruitment businesses generally, research it, embrace it, look at the examples that work, and if you decide to take that route of expanding the way you approach digital, do it properly and do it really, really well with some really good thought. If that means you've got to spend money on external companies to do it, which there are some good examples of that, then by all means do it. But I think the word to my mind is embrace it, because it creates opportunities that we didn't have a few years ago.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Steve. Simon, closing thoughts from you. Hey, the Maras are coming up in a couple of weeks. If you fix those winners and you want to just give us a hint, we should put our money on.
DM me later, Alan, on that one. Well, I just need to clarify something here. I'm not nothing to do with the judging process, so let's just make that clear. But I am looking forward to seeing Rob, Steve, and Louis in a couple of weeks' time. So, look, my closing thoughts are I don't like splinters in my arse, so I'm going to get off the fence and say I think agencies need to start thinking more like creative digital agencies or recruitment agencies should thinking, but not necessarily as a whole. I do get that empowering people to do jobs they're not tasked to, or they're not qualified to do is fundamentally wrong. And that's where I do agree with Steve. I don't agree with Steve necessarily, although I don't think it's been, I think I might have misinterpreted it, is that if you're trying to shoehorn people to do jobs that they're not qualified to do, don't employ them to do the job in the first place. And I think that's where I'm really at. I think that people, the evolution of a recruiter now has come too far away from a stock contingency recruiter. That's what I firmly believe. I think things are going retained. If you're talking about that, you talk about a different skill set. If you talk about a different skill set, then you're into that marketing thing. So fairly similar to what Steve said, let's not recruit recruiters then. I totally utterly get, and Rob's going to probably punch me in the face with us when he sees me for saying this, but this is about, I do get that you need to be a salesperson. Of course you do. I'm surrounded by them. I'm also surrounded by creative people, and I understand the value that they add too. So if you get an integrated guy who's good at sales, networking and drinking a coffee or a beer, and also marketing, amazing. I know that's like looking for rocking horse shit, but I think those types of people are out there. If the agency itself, the recruitment agency, thinks a little bit more contemporary. That's my closing thing, and I look forward to seeing everybody who's going in a couple of weeks at the Morris.
Simon, what's the dress code?
It's
tie or normal tie, yeah?
Velvet blazers. But you're not allowed to have a velvet blazer.
I was planning on wearing cut off shorts and t-shirts, I think, because Rob's already got the t-shirt look nailed down. It's going to be tough for us to compete with that.
Well, we'll be borrowing your wardrobe then, Alan, won't we?
Yeah, absolutely. All the fun stuff aside, Louis, we need to head to a wrap-up. One, I'd just like to thank all of our guests today. It's been a great conversation, and I do believe, as our viewers have said, and it's good that we have had viewers, that we could carry this on for a while. I can feel that there might be a post-Mars follow-up to this at some point. Louis, you're going to have some wrap-ups for us, and we also have the show in 2 weeks' time with Lisa Jones, I believe, the inimitable Lisa Jones, who never has an opinion. It'll be a very calm show, I'm sure. Louis.
Yes, yeah. Lisa Jones will be great from Barclay Jones. She's been on before. Really, really good guest to have, and very useful show to watch. She's going to be talking about backdoor placements. That's on the 19th at 1 p.m. GMT. Do sign up to the Rec Hangout list on the colleague blog if you want to be updated and reminded about what's going on with that Hangout and the future Hangouts. We're also hoping to release a white paper, a Rec Hangout white paper sponsored by all the supporters of the Rec Hangout that will include some tips and advice and profiles of some of the nominees from the Maras. So look out for that. That should be, if we can get enough contributors around in the next couple of weeks. But thank you very much. Excellent show. We'll also be putting a follow-up piece on Louise will be doing for the UK Recruiter blog, and a brand new thing we'll be doing is putting on the best of the Rec Hangout show onto a SlideShare presentation for the lazy people out there, or the people that actually have jobs to do on their days. So they could get all the tips really quickly. So anyway, thank you all very much. Thanks, Alan.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Yep.